Welcome, welcome everyone to yet another episode of Aspire to Inspire, where we interview industry professionals. Today, I am so blessed and truly grateful to have Jennifer Sears with me today. She has appeared on television shows and films such as Bigger, the series on BET, Medea's Family Reunion, Coming to America, Greenleaf, and so much more. I'm going to bring her virtually onto our stage so you guys can see her for yourself. Let's bring her on here. Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm absolutely fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. Honestly, can't complain. Life is good. And I'm so grateful to have you here. Just someone with your area of expertise within the film industry. And I'm just so excited to finally be interviewing you. I truly look up to you.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. Oh, my, I'm like, verklempt.
Yeah, but on Aspire to Inspire, we're basically here to highlight all of your accomplishments. You know, you've been featured on so many different type of platforms, TV, television, film-wise, and we're just going to jump right into this interview without further ado. Are you ready?
Let's jump.
All right. For the sake of our viewers, Jennifer, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Wow. That's a loaded question. I'm joking. A loaded reality.
Yeah.
So I am, as you say, I'm Jennifer Sears. I'm originally from Paterson, New Jersey. My family relocated to Dublin, Georgia. Shout out to Dublin. When I was in middle school. So I spent part of my childhood in New Jersey, other part of my childhood in Dublin, Georgia. Left Dublin, Georgia upon graduating high school, and then moved to Atlanta. So I moved to Atlanta in 2001. I attended Clark Atlanta University. I was studying pre-law, of all things, political science. And somehow I navigated or re-navigated to my love of the arts by, I guess, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to make sure that I walk you through how incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? Awesome.
Just how you got to that moment.
Awesome God is, and how he leaves little breadcrumbs in your life. So you'll see, even whenever you're torn and you're at a proverbial fork in the road, you're not sure quite which way you want to go. Ideally, you want to make your family proud, or you want to make yourself proud, or you're probably, first generation college graduate, which I was. And so you want to take the logical path, right? And do something that you feel as though it'll make your family proud. It'll be a much more lucrative, safe career path. So I was studying political science pre-law to make my family proud. Like I said, I was first generation college graduate, studied pre-law political science with the goal, aspirations to practice entertainment law. Did not know that I was going to end up in the entertainment industry, but in front of the camera. But growing up, I've always had a love and a passion for the arts. I've always wanted to act, but I just didn't know, how do you get there? Like my faves on the television screen. I see my faves in movies, in the movie theaters, and you have like these dreams and goals and aspirations. You're like, oh, I want to do that. And it just seems so distant, so far away. It seems like an unachievable goal. Because no one from my city, had I known at that time, no one from either city that I grew up, spent my childhoods in, went on to do something in the industry as an actor. So I was like, well, that's not something that was always put in front of me.
Right.
And growing up, I know that I'm much older than you, but growing up, I didn't have a lot of peers my age group that I can look at. Most of the faces that we saw were mainstream America, and we know what that means. So it wasn't a lot of black girl magic television screens. And if you did see them on television screens or in movies, they were unfortunately having to portray roles that were not the most positive images. of course I had like, my absolute iconic figures that I studied, and I I basically just breathe in and soak in and absorb their aura.
Right.
It's Ruby Dee, right? Miss Cicely Tyson, who are both now ancestors.
Mm.
Um, they've gone on to have beautiful careers where they did not have to sell out or compromise or put themselves in a role or a position to where they were not able to look themselves in the mirror or look their people, the
Mm.
younger generation, in the face and say, I'm proud of my work. So I really, really wanted to be able to do, bodies of work like they have been, presented to me, but
Yeah.
that image. So I went on to, study law because I was like, well, that's pie in the sky dreams, right?
Yeah.
Lofty dreams. Is it achievable? But I'm gonna do something that I feel like is gonna make my family proud, and I feel something that I feel like is an attainable goal.
Mm.
So I go on, study political science, pre-law. It was up into the point of graduation where I hit that proverbial fork in the road, and I was preparing to go on to post grad, well, graduate school, and I was, exploring my options and schools that I wanted to, consider. And I had a friend of a friend, not even someone who knew me personally.
Friend. They come in handy though.
Right, but here's the thing: God, and you'll hear me reference God a lot, and
Yeah. Please do. Please do.
it's very my relationship with Him is the foundation of not just my career, but who I am as a person. It's the foundation of my life. So God literally places people in your path to kind of like redirect you and show you, the course you're meant to take. So
Amen.
it was in this like almost in the at almost to the point where it was too late. But you're never too late for God, and you're never, you can be too soon. You can get ahead of Him, but He's never untimely. He's always on time. But for me, I had these goals. Okay, graduate law school, get a lucrative, have a lucrative profession, and make all this money, make my family proud, and all of this stuff. Those were my goals. And God said, put a pin in that because this is what's going to happen. He dropped in a friend of a friend who introduced me to, presented to me an open casting call for a movie. That's all I knew. I didn't. I didn't even know what open casting call was. I didn't know you're supposed to show up with a headshot and resume and all that stuff. Now, mind you, this is just me strolling off the street with no headshot, no resume, no acting experience, to fall back on, refer to. So when I show up empty-handed.
Yeah.
I didn't know the casting director. I didn't know who the movie was being directed by. I didn't know the title. I didn't know anything. All I know was this is something that's going to feed that creative energy, that hunger,
Yeah.
that there's a little something inside that's telling you you're supposed to be doing something else. So that curiosity, right, that God drops in us, that
Right.
kind of like that compass to tell us, you know, this is good, this is what you're supposed to be doing, and this is not quite it. This is an option, but it's not it. This isn't your purpose. So I saw this open casting call as my opportunity to answer that call of curiosity, that call of something bigger. There's something else. There's something more. And so when I attended the casting call, it was in my mind, my last shot at doing something creative and doing something fun without having to worry about, oh, how much money is this going to make me?
Wow.
So this is more so feeding my soul. And so I show up literally with nothing to lose, everything to gain, but nothing to lose. And I show up to the waiting room, and I walk in and I see all the girls in the room, beautiful, but none of them look like me.
Right. Okay.
Like me. Long hair. Well, I have hair now, but it's, only
Right. Right.
usually my hair is pixie short. Everyone had long hair. Everyone was, lighter skin, lighter complexion. Um, at the time that I started my career 16 years ago, I was coming off of the tail end of, we're talking about the early 2000s, so 2004, 2005.
Mm.
We're coming off the tail end of the 90s of the brown skinned girls being, Nia Long and, we had Gabrielle Union, we had Regina King, but not a lot to where now we're celebrating melanin, right? We have
Right.
melanin pride. But at that point, Hollywood only would allow a certain amount, only a handful of Black girls. And
Mm.
I heard Gabrielle Union, I believe, say, no, it was Nia Long, say that when she was going out for a role, she already knew who she was going to see in the audition, in the waiting room, waiting for the audition, going up for the same role.
Wow.
Going to see, your Jada Pinkett, your Gabrielle Union, and all of these other actresses, these starlet actresses, because at that point, Hollywood thought that there was only maybe like one or two hot Black girls at a time.
Mm.
At that time in the early 2000s, when I started my career, I walk in and I don't see anyone who looked like me. No one brown, no one with short hair. Like I said, Nia, Hallie, Jada were the only ones who had short hair. So at the time, everyone was rocking the weaves or wigs, and well, not so much wigs,
Mm-hmm.
but the weaves. And so I come in, this brown girl who's practically bald, and with no headshot, no resume, and I felt as though I didn't belong.
Mm.
But I knew that there was something there, and that calling, that something, that yearning, that burning inside of me is what kept me there. And I said, you drove all the way down here. There's no way I'm going to allow you, me talking to myself, there's no way I'm going to allow you to turn around and walk out. What do you have to lose?
Mm.
And
Right.
I stayed, and against the opposition, against all odds, against a whole room full of girls looking back at me and making me feel as though I'm different. Remember, I think it was Sesame Street. Again, I'm dating myself because this is old Sesame Street, not the current, where everything is hip hop and
Yeah, the old. Yeah, I got the I got the gist of it.
yeah, where it's like one of these things don't belong.
Yeah. Yes.
That's how I felt.
Wow.
I held my head high and my chin. And I just remember my mom. I give a lot of credit. After God, I give all credit to God, but then I give a lot of credit to my mom for reminding me of how special I am and how beautiful I am, and celebrating my Black skin. And she taught us a lot about cultural awareness and self-identity and who we are as a people and how strong and resilient and beautiful we are. So I just remember hearing her say, hold your head up high. There's nothing for you to hold your head down for. Don't look down. There's nothing down on the ground for you. So I put my head up. I walked inside. Once the casting called me, I walked inside. I did the audition. Before I did the audition, they asked me, do you have a headshot and resume? And I said, so what now? I didn't know what a headshot was.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Before they allowed me to audition, I had to go downstairs and take a Polaroid picture. Yeah, a Polaroid picture. This is how old this story is. And they took a Sharpie marker and they wrote my name at the bottom, the little white strip of the Polaroid picture. And I'm going upstairs just as proud with my little Polaroid picture in comparison to everybody else's headshot. I'm just shaking my little Polaroid picture so they can, finish.
Yeah, right. You gotta shake it good.
I'm shaking my little Polaroid picture proudly, and I walk back in there, and I'm getting ready for my audition, and I do it, and they're just looking at me, and I felt like it was an eternity. But they're looking at me and they lean over and they whisper. It was in the room, in the audition room, it was Reuben Cannon. Urge everyone who's watching this to go and do your research, look up who Reuben Cannon is and how instrumental, how integral he is to TV, but especially Black TV and film. He's iconic. So again, in my naivete, because my career had not yet started, I didn't know who he was. So again, I think the fact that I didn't know who he was and who Shay Griffin was, I didn't allow that to get in my head and create doubt, because sometimes when you know certain people, they look like giants and you feel like a grasshopper.
Right.
So
that's so true.
I walk in, I'm completely oblivious to who these people are. I do the audition, they're staring at me, they lean, they whisper, I'm like, okay, they don't like me. And so
right, you just jumped to conclusion, they don't like me.
And imagine the crazy thing is, I walked in and I broke all of the audition rules. Every faux pas you could think of, baby, I nailed them all. Like such casting unless they extend their hand to you, especially not now during COVID.
Right.
Pre-COVID, even then, casting directors, just think about the hundreds of people who come in for an audition. And if they had to shake everybody's hand, think about the germs, right? So one of the rules is, unless casting reaches out and they have that relationship with you, they reach out to shake your hand, don't ever touch casting. Not this girl. I walked right in. Hey, how you doing? Shaking everybody's hand. They're looking like, whoa, this is this girl, And rule number 2, faux pas number 2. I came in chewing gum. Just came in.
Man.
Anyway, still have the flavor and everything, girl. I was ready,
Oh man.
I took my gum out. I stuck it somewhere, like on a piece of paper that I knew I can get to right away. And they're looking and they're like, oh, okay, she's just gonna save that gum right there, all right. And so I did the audition. They're looking, they whisper, they come back and they give me a redirect. They're like, okay, let's try it this way. I'm like, all right, cool. So let's do it. Let's rock. So I do it. I take the note, the directorial note, and they're looking at me. They say, okay, thank you. I grabbed my gum, put it back in my mouth, and I walked out.
Love it.
I was like, if anything, I had fun. And I think that's what a lot of actors sometimes, no matter where you are in your career, whether you're just starting out or you've booked some co-star roles, and now you're aspiring to get to recurring or series regular, or you are a series regular, sometimes you tend to forget to just have fun. And at that point of my career, my career again hadn't even started yet, I remembered what it felt like to just have fun. And I remind myself even now when I'm auditioning for projects that I really, really want, and you're gripping the baby so much to where you're suffocating the baby meaning your career.
Right.
And I'm gripping the baby, I'm gripping the audition so tightly, like, I want this one. And then I forget. Just have fun, release it, have fun. Because if you have fun, casting is going to have fun. And I think that's what was one of the determining factors as to who was going to get cast in that role. It's the fact that I was able to have fun. I did some things. I did a few things that, I felt like was natural, what I would do in that role. And they had like a look of delight where it was just refreshing. Like, here's a girl, she has no clue what she's doing. She has no headshot, no resume. She came in chewing gum, she's shaking everybody's hands, but she's having fun. And because of that, it didn't feel like a typical day of casting, sitting from behind the table, seeing hundreds of people come in and do the audition the exact same way. Here's someone who comes in, throws caution to the wind, throws everything aside, and just have fun. And that's what I want to encourage a lot of actors to do, to remember to have fun in the audition process. Of course, study, do your character breakdown, your character development, find your objectives, your nuggets, your beats, all of that. But once you develop all that stuff and it's living inside you, throw it away and have fun. Everything that all of the preparatory work that you've done is living inside you. Now, there and just remember to have fun. I promise you, when you need it, when you need all the work that you did, if you do the work. Now, if you BS your way through the prep, your subconscious, your body, your soul is going to know, and it's not going to know what to do when the pressure is on. But if you do the work, and if you're honest to the work, when you need it, it's there and it's living inside you. But just remember to have fun, because then it takes the pressure off of yourself, and it takes the pressure off of casting. Casting can watch you and have fun and just enjoy it. I've had so many casting directors, not to toot my own horn, I've had lots of casting directors reach out to me and say, whether I booked the role or not, I had so much fun watching your audition. Like, I felt like I was watching the final edit of something, or I was watching something that was already in post, something that I was watching on television.
Wow.
Because it's supposed to be that natural, that with ease, because you're taking the pressure off. You remember to have fun. So I said all that when you asked me who I am.
I wanted that. I wanted to hear that story for the sake of the viewers watching, because that is the essence of what an actor should do. It's not so much of, you know, learning lines or reciting them. It's you had fun.
Have fun.
That's what I wanted to hear. But please continue what you were going to say.
You have to live the life. Having fun. Sometimes, I'm just going to be honest with you, there are certain roles that are very, very painful to do, because it certain roles, certain circumstances within teams touch a nerve.
Yeah, they do.
How much healing you've done, where you've experienced certain things. It could be a song, it could be a smell, it could be something that's going to take you back to that. And that's what it's supposed to be like, right? Like, when you're in a scene, you're supposed to allow yourself to really go there, so that when your audience is watching you, they go there with you.
Right.
One thing that audiences don't like is to be lied to. And they may not always be able to articulate it in an actor language, in actorese.
Yeah, I understand you. Yeah.
They may not be able to articulate the proper term, but they just know, they feel like they're being lied to. They feel like they're being cheated. When an actor is portraying a role and they're like, you know, say for instance, it's a crying scene, and you can tell when the actress or the actor is forcing it, pushing the tears, instead of really, they're focused more on crying. I gotta cry, instead of being affected by what just happened to you. Let it land, let it hit you. And when you're living this life and telling a story, you're gonna be affected. You're gonna be affected. You can't focus so much on the lines. You can't focus so much on the mechanics, to where you forget to have fun. And a part, I know it may sound a little masochistic, me, part of having fun, even in difficult roles, is, how did that feel? Oh my gosh, I went somewhere.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, this is going to be good for others to watch, because I was affected, and I want others to be affected in a way that, if it brings up things that they need to address within themselves, or circumstances within their families. One of the most humbling things I've heard while season 5 of Greenleaf was airing is how many people on Twitter said, I was able to heal my relationship with my estranged father.
Wow.
Or, you know, I went back and forgave my father who is already deceased, and now I feel free.
Yes.
So I'm like, wow. And that's only because I allowed myself to go through what Tara was going through.
Right.
She had a lot of questions that needed answers. Her father is deceased. Her father, there are a lot of questions as to how her father passed, and she's searching. And you can tell when I go back and I look at certain scenes, and I love the camera operators, the cameramen, our production team was just incredible. Our writers were incredible. But I watched some certain episodes, and I can see through my eyes that Tara, because I literally immersed myself into this character. It wasn't Jen that you're watching. I promise. That was someone else, and her name was Tara.
Yeah. No, and real quickly, I just distinctly remember your character because it was that amazing. Not to like make it such a big deal, but it was so much authenticity with the character that you played, Tara, that it was, you know, talking to you right now, I feel like I'm talking to a whole new person. And I love how you brought up about, you know, how people were able to heal and to mend relationships as a result of your character. Not only does it show the power of how much cinema plays into our world, but it just shows how actors are playing real life characters. Like, these are real people at the end of the day, and to be able to play them in a truthful manner, it's going to be respected and applauded by viewers or us who are watching.
And that's really the award. Whether you get nominated and receive you know, your Emmy or your NAACP Image Award, or your, which me, incredible. I mean, I would rather be rated by my own than anyone else, because you're not looking for validation from those who don't celebrate you.
Right.
So, you know, you have your Oscar, you know, your SAG award, and all these different awards, Golden Globes. You're not so much looking for, and that's the icing on the cake. But the real award is when someone says, "I loved your work. I was affected by your work. You made me laugh. You made me cry. You made me heal. You made me talk to my children about things that, you know, we weren't addressing. You know, the pink elephant in the room." Like, Greenleaf touched on so many different things, like, you know, molestation and oh gosh, losing a child, miscarriages rather, and alcoholism, and
touched on every aspect that's real.
And it's real life. And I feel as though if you're going to address real life issues, you gotta be real. You can't lie to people. No one wants to watch that and say, "I didn't believe that." I did it. And then they kind of feel as though not only is it a bruise to you as an actor, it's a bruise to the entire show.
Yes.
You know, and so I never want my acting to be a damper or paint the project as a whole in a bad light. So Greenleaf came about, and it was their final season. I was praying every day, like, "God in heaven, please don't let me mess up."
Right. No, that's a lot of it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, because it's already an acclaimed show, right?
Right.
It's its own top rated show on the OWN network.
Right.
And then here I come, a new character being introduced to a successful show that everyone's so emotionally invested in, to where they see the Greenleafs as their own family. Like, they love Bishop, they love Lady May.
Right.
And they may not always love, you know.
Yeah. I knew it. You didn't have to say it. I knew it.
But they love these people. And so you don't want to come into the show and they're like, "Oh, well, the show could have did without her. Like, it would have been so much better without her." So I never wanted to come onto the show, and all of these actors are incredibly talented, and I didn't want to stand alongside these acting giants and, you know, dim their or appear as the dimmer star.
Yeah, I understand.
Shine as bright as possible, and make sure that we go out with a bang in our final season. And to stay on the Greenleaf, and I wanted to share this with a lot of actors who are watching this right now. I want you to understand how important it is to take every audition seriously. Have fun. Don't forget to have fun, but take it seriously. Don't look at it like, oh, this is just a co-star. Oh, this is just a one scene or one liner, because you have no idea. You have no idea who's going to see that and what they want to do additionally with the work that you present. Because if you treat it as it's just a one liner, or if you treat it as though it's just co-star, it's a day player role, then that's how they're going to see you as an actor. So I came to Tara with, I like her. I like this girl. I didn't know enough about her, but I like what I was given to read for the audition.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that Tara was, well, I did know. I knew that Tara was supposed to only be a co-star. One episode and done. I don't even think she had a full episode. I think she just had maybe a scene or two.
Oh, wow.
I was just excited about this character. So I would say, in addition to take every audition seriously, do the work. Don't cut corners. No shortchanging. Don't base it off of co-star versus series regular. Co-star occurring. You're getting to live a life. You get to tell a story. The writers, the show creators thought enough to say, well, let's have, or the casting directors, let's have enough to bring her in or to bring him in to see what they can do with this material.
Right.
And what the material is going to determine how they view you as an actor, and if you have if you have a place in the storyline. Because Tara was a co-star. And once I did the audition, I booked the role. I came in. I filmed that one day. They just kept writing me in, writing me in, writing me in, until I was in. It was what, 7, 8.
Wow, 8. Wow.
It was 8 episodes for the final season. I was in 6 of the 8 episodes. I was only supposed to be in like 1 or 2 scenes of one episode, but they just kept writing me in. So I say all that to say, the way you approach your audition, the way you prepare for your auditions is going to determine your output, is going to determine the way production sees you. And then they're going to say, I think she can handle more. Yeah. I want to see what else she can do. I want to see where she takes this storyline, because a lot of times writers, they're looking to you for ideas.
Exactly.
Until I was on set and Lamont and I were, it was one of our lunch breaks, and Lamont Rucker, who plays Jacob Greenleaf, he's looking at the sides, and he goes, "What do you think they're trying to do with Tara and Jacob?" I said, the way I'm reading this, I don't know. And again, I'm trying not to step on my toes because I'm the newbie here, right?
Yeah, understood. Yeah.
Everybody else have been working with each other for 4, now 5 seasons. I'm the newbie. So this is like day 1 of me filming. So I'm trying to be timid. I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I think that, maybe they're trying to put Tara and Jacob together. I don't know. He goes, I thought so too. He's like, you know what? Let's mess with the writing. Let's mess with the writers, and by our acting, put the idea in their head. So by us co-creating together through artistry, the writers was like, hey, wait a minute.
Right.
Tara and Jacob. So they went to work. And, I can't tell you that's exactly what happened, but the way I envisioned it, because I know that Tara was initially a co-star, but because when you show up, show all the way up, all of you. Don't hold back, don't shrink, don't say, oh, well, she's a co-star, so I'm gonna try not to do too much. I'll just do enough, but not too much. No, you show up and you show them who you are. You bring your whole self, and then they saw, okay, she can handle more. Let's see what else she can do. Let's bring more to the table for her. Let's push her to the forefront. So then this one little co-star role that was probably a couple of scenes in one episode ended up being in 6 of 8 episodes in the final season.
Wow.
So,
That's fantastic. And it just shows how the importance of not only just being yourself, and I like how you said, show out, be yourself, because, you know, there's something in the script that, you know, you may have that portrays the character that they might want to utilize. And your literal representation of what happens when you're just being yourself, you're connected to a character so well. I know you killed the audition because you booked it, but that's just what happens when you're so into your craft. It shows, and that's what they want. They'll keep that till the end of the show. All I have to say is that you killed it as Tara. You're one of the roles that is still in the back of my mind when I think of Greenleaf. That's just how powerful it was.
Thank you. No, it's you said something that's very, very true about you having something that could be used in that audition, or when you book the audition. If you show up and really tell the story and live the life organically, I guarantee you, even if you're going up, let's just back it up to the audition process. Even if you're going up against, and you don't know this, hundreds, if not thousands of other actors, actresses in your age group, you know, your ethnicity, going all up for the same role.
Right.
That's not your control. That's not within your control.
It's beyond you.
That's beyond your control. That's not even something that you should even concern yourself with. What you concern yourself with is, what can I bring that no one else is going to be able to bring? And you know what else you know what you can bring that no one else is going to be able to bring? Your story. No one else has lived your life. They may have had similar experiences, but no one has lived your life.
Right.
Only you can show up your whole self, drop yourself into the life of this character, and tell her story through your words, or use her words to tell your story. Her, him, whoever's watching this, y'all know who I'm talking about.
Exactly. We know it's applying to us. Yes.
Right. So if you're a him, you're a him. If you're a her, you're a her. But no one else can drop into this character's body and use their words to tell your story but you. When I think about Tara and a lot of the hurt and grief and pain that she suffered, not having her father around, and then the questions that she had around his death, his mysterious death, and how she's trying to learn to let go. She's trying to learn to be a good Christian. She's doing all of these things to try to heal the hurt by basically doing mission work, trying to serve God, and not focus too much on the pain and the unresolved healing, unresolved pain, and the healing that she needs to undergo. Her healing is really taking form through her mission work, through her charity, through her serving God, through her church. And so with that, I can't say what anyone else has lived through, not suffered, because I feel as though we're more than conquerors, right? If we see ourselves as victors and not victims, that's exactly how we're going to approach life. So I see myself as an overcomer, and the things that I have overcome, they still, like I said earlier in the interview, you still have that nerve. That nerve might be a little tender. It's not totally healed yet, but you got something that you can use, that gold, that you got a mind for, that gold, that emotional gold that you can use for emotional prep to tell this person's story, live this character's life, but telling your story, it has to be a beautiful blending of your life and hers or his. And that's essentially what I did. You know, I lost my father during childhood with a lot of questions, a lot of, I miss my dad, and I miss who I think I know of him, because again, Tara, there's a lot that Tara doesn't remember, because she's been told one thing from her sister and her brother, and then the Greenleafs are telling her another thing. So she's just, you know, she's searching. And if you go back and watch a lot of the episodes, you'll see the searching in my eyes. And it's not so much because I was acting like I was searching for answers. I was really searching because I was searching for that healing, that completion. Only healing can bring. And so when I had not quite reached that point of healing in my real life with my own father, it was able to translate through Tara's story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the tears when Bishop, leans in and he's holding my shoulders and he said, "Is there any way we can move past this?" I'm looking at the great Keith David, and I'm hearing Bishop say, "Is there any way we can move past this?" But I hear my father, who abandoned my mother when she was pregnant with me. I hear my father telling me, "Is there any way we can move past this?" Because I had a lot of hurt and pain and anger and bitterness and resentment in my heart. But at the same time, that's my dad. Every little girl wants to be loved by her dad.
Yeah.
So when Bishop says these words, "Is there any way we can move past this?" I'm hearing my father say, "Is there any way we can move past this?" And I felt as though he was asking for forgiveness from the spirit realm. And the tears that welled up in my eyes were real tears. That wasn't acting or anything like that. So when people say, "Oh my gosh, I loved you as Tara," and I'm like, you have no idea how much I needed Tara. I needed Tara in order for me to have a soul cleansing, to be able to go through this. And God always knows what you need in order to work out your own salvation.
Yeah. Yes. You said it so well and so beautifully. So beautifully.
So
Yes.
you kind of have to allow yourself to be affected. Back to what I was saying earlier, allow yourself to be affected so it can be real, so that the most the best compliment you can ever receive is for someone to say, "I loved your work," because then you did your job. You did what you're supposed to do. Um, I can't wait till you see the next project that I just finished filming. Woo, girl! You talk about
Oh my gosh. I can't wait. I mean, can you share a little bit or
it,
no?
it's a it's it's an anthology series that is faith based.
Beautiful. Okay.
So every episode is based on a biblical story. So it takes biblical stories, modernize them, and present them in a way that makes you want to go and read the Bible and say, "Wow, all that happened in the Bible." The Jerry Springer episode, like when you realize how flawed the biblical figures were, and God still loved them. God still used them, and they were still redeemable. You see yourself in a different way. You see yourself as not too flawed for God to love, not too messed up. I can't. There's no way God can accept me. Look what I did. Look what I've had an abortion. I've done this. I've been raped. I've been molested. I've all of these. But when you go and you look at the biblical figures in the Bible, you see a lot that they have gone through has made them who they are, and
Right.
the biblical giants that they are, because God was able to take them and use them in human terms and worldly standards from the of the low, and God say, "Watch what I'm able to do with you."
Right.
This series, this series is so incredible. It's called Covenant,
Okay. Okay.
and it's going to be on AMC All Black, and the writer Kay Singleton, she's a genius. Like, there's no way else to explain this. There's no other way to describe her other than sheer genius. She is sheer genius, the way she was able to take biblical stories, do a modern twist to where you are able to see yourselves and people and your own family in these figures in these families. And there's a lot of healing that's going to take place. I feel as though it's gonna heal a lot of gaping wounds.
Wow. Yes.
I feel as though it's going to drive people back to the church, and I don't mean the building. I mean to God, to the body of Christ. I feel as though it's going to introduce God in the most purest form to a lot of people, because a lot of people think they know God based on church folk. And a lot of church folk can be judgy.
Yeah.
They can be critical. They can be just downright mean and nasty. And you feel like, I can't go to church because I don't have the proper attire. I can't go to church because I went out last night and I still smell like liquor, or I still smell like weed, or I still smell like whatever, or I don't, have my dress is too short or whatever. So you feel as though the church is supposed to represent God, right? So you
Right.
feel how God is. So, but I feel like this anthology series is going to be a beautiful introduction to a lot of people who have never known the true and living God in the purest form of love
Wow.
and
That's
hope.
wonderful.
And it's so, when I tell you soul cleansing, this role that I portrayed addressed a lot of things that I thought that I had healed from. And God said, and the crazy thing is, I did not audition for this role.
Wow. Talk about it. How was
I,
it presented to you?
and going back to what I said, God leaves breadcrumbs and he intervenes and he says, nope, this. I auditioned for another role. And the casting director, the executive producer, the EP, the director, once I got on set, said, I watched your audition and I cried.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. That was just like humbling. And they said, because when I auditioned for the role that I thought I was getting, they said, I hear from my manager and she says, casting cried. The casting director cried. The production team cried when they watched her audition. I was like, oh my gosh, really? I got excited. I thought that meant,
as you should be.
I thought that meant I booked the role. And she said, but they felt as though you looked too young for the character. To have, for your character to have a child that age, you look too young.
Okay.
To have a teenage son. And I'm like, but I could have a teenage son. I'm almost 40. She said, I know, Jen, I know. But I guess that's a gift and a curse for you, because you're kind of like at that in between age where, even though your character, you could play people your age, but people are like, oh, she still looks too young. So you're going to be a college student for the rest of your life. But she said, but there's another role that they're considering you for. I said, okay, yeah. And it ended up being a lead on this series.
Wow.
The way and here's the thing, the character that I ended up booking is everything that I needed when I needed it. Like I said, a lot of wounds that I thought had healed, but it just scabbed up a little bit. There was a scab. There wasn't a deep healing. And I want you to tell your story through this character, because you being affected and healing from this is going to help a lot of other women heal from this.
Right.
I literally heard God say that through the Holy Spirit while I was on set. And he said, and I remember I cry a lot.
No, I do too. I think it's the artist in us. We feel, we have empathy.
But in this particular role, I cry a lot. All of my scenes, I'm crying. And so I remember being in my dressing room and I was just like, I had a little bit of a break and I'm just like, I'm emotionally spent. I don't have to give. And my day wasn't done yet. I still had more scenes to shoot, but I was emotionally spent. And I remember talking to God. I said, Father, I'm tired. And he said, I know you are. And I know this is scary. And I know this is painful. But I promise you, if you trust me with your pain, I'm trying not to get emotional.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
He said, if you trust me with your pain, I promise you, I can do wonders with it. I can heal so many other people from this. Only if you trust me with your pain. Trust me with it. I promise you. So I trusted him with it. And at the end of wrapping the series, I had a beautiful breakdown.
Mm.
And I just cried, gut wrenching, soul bearing cry, ugly cry, snot, everything.
Mm.
And everybody on set, they understood because they watched me for 3 weeks go through pure hell.
Yeah.
So that crying was me finally burying the things that I thought that I had healed from. And God said, he wanted to break me to the point where I couldn't just keep masking and say, oh, I'm fine, everything's fine. Oh yeah, I'm fine.
Right,
And
right.
this character allowed me to get to the root and really just bare my soul. As ugly as everything looked, I was able to bare my soul, and from the pain, I was able to heal.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful thing. That it was kind of like I haven't had children yet, but it was kind of like the way I would imagine labor. It was
Wow.
it was I've heard I have friends and sisters who've had children, and I've had my oldest sister, Elizabeth. She joked with her first child. She was joking with us after the birth of her first child. She said while she was pushing, while the baby was halfway out, she said she kind of wanted to say, "Is it too late? Is it too late to pull the baby back in?" Because she said she didn't see how she was gonna be able to push the rest of the baby out. She said that's how painful it was. And so that's kind of how I felt midway through the project. Is it too late to pull out of this project? Like, this is painful. But God said, if you trust me with your pain, I promise you, it'll be all worth it. I'm doing something beautiful with it, but you got to trust me with your pain. So after that, and at the end of the 3 weeks of filming, I had that beautiful cleansing breakdown. But that was the baby coming out. That the breaking of everything that I was trying to hold together. God said, let me break you so I can make you. Let me break you. Let me rebuild something. Let me take shape in the form of what, all of your experiences that you're trying to put masking tape on.
Yeah.
Rip the tape off. It's okay. If you fall apart into pieces, I'll put it back together. And I promise you, you'll love my form of you more so than what you were trying to let the world form you. The world is saying, oh, hold it together, girl. Hold your head up high. Sometimes it's okay to not be okay.
It sure is.
It's okay to have experiences that, don't make you, and for lack of a better term, perfect, and I'll tell you with the quickness, I'm in no way
Not far from it.
But it's all of those imperfections that make us human and relatable. No one wants to relate to someone who's perfect, because then that's like, well, you can't. How am I going to relate to you?
Exactly.
If I allow myself to go through the ugly moments of, which I think that this series is going to present, it's going to present the Bible in a way that it's just downright unpleasant.
Wow.
It's painful, but it's necessary because these stories must be told so that healing can take place. So I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah, I mean, you just talking about it, I'm excited, and just for you to just share so much about your experience during that. I mean, God is truly working in you and through you, and He's not done with you. Honestly, just hearing you just talk about something that hasn't been put out to the world yet, I can only tell, or I can only know that it's going to heal wounds. It's going to do way more than what the whole production team or yourself think it's going to do. It's going to do probably 10 times as much, because it sounds like this whole project is under the control of God and him.
Oh, all glory to him. I think I told this to Kay and to the director, Courtney Miller. I told them both that there's a special, and I don't even think we were halfway done with the project yet. But I told them, I said, there's a special anointing on this. And Kay looked at me, she goes, I feel the same way, Jen. And she's like, I know it must feel weird for her to say that because it's her project. I think that everybody's gonna be like, yeah, my project is anointed.
Yeah, right. I understand. Yeah.
Her project, our project, that she has written, she has blessed the world, and it hasn't even come out yet. But this is going to be a huge blessing to the world. But there's a special. Even though Kay wrote it, I feel as though the Holy Spirit was working through her fingers, was working through her brain, was working through her heart, because there's a special anointing on this project. It's so special. It's so special. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Yes. And thank you for sharing that with, this platform with me. And again, like I'm saying, the world can only just wait to see what God is going to going to do with this. And all we can do is just wait patiently for it. And I know you're absolutely going to kill it. I know it for sure.
So much.
Of course. So we're winding down our interview for a little bit. I have a few more questions for you. Just, I like to call these futuristic questions because we don't know where the future can take us.
Right.
And, with that being said, the only way we can think about our future is, where we desire to be, or where God's will and our will comes together, or just his will solely. Right. So I ask you, Jennifer, where do you see yourself 5 to 10 years down the line? Or should I say, where do you desire to see yourself?
I envision myself, and within 5 to 10 years, God willing, prayerfully, not only acting, but writing, directing.
Yeah.
I really, really do look up to Regina King. That queen is king.
Yes. Well said. Well said.
It is. And I love the fact that she makes noise by being quiet. She lets her work.
Yes.
She's not one of those people that, she's all on the blogs, or she's on social media always stirring up something. You're not going to see her on TMZ or E! News. She stays focused, and everything that she puts out has just been pivotal. Like, she's constantly reinventing herself. And to think that I was watching her as Brenda on 227. I remember being a little girl and watching her on 227 and saying, wow, I want to be Brenda's friend. I want to. And to see what she's doing now, I'm just in awe of her magic. So I hope, I pray that within 5 to 10 years, I would be able to not just walk in her steps, because everyone's steps are ordered in the Lord, right? So walk in the steps that God has ordered for me, but looking to her and saying, you showed me what it looks like. And so I want other young actresses to look at me, or aspiring actresses to look at me and say, oh, there's more you can do. You don't just have to be in front of the camera. You can be in the writer's room. You can be behind the camera, be behind the scenes, with, your Timbs and your jeans or whatever, and your baseball cap. You can be directing and, doing the whole direct,
Right.
I think so. And I would like to inspire. Aspire to inspire. I would like within 5 to 10 years, inspire other actresses or actors, to really think outside the box. Don't box themselves in, but really think outside the box and say, what else? What else is possible for me? Because then when you say, I'm an actor, that's definitive. You're defining yourself. But when you say, I'm a creative, that can you can create doing anything.
Exactly.
So really think outside the box, stretch yourself, see what else is possible. And then with that question mark, I've heard a casting director say this. Berman. Amy Jo Berman is the former VP of casting for HBO. And I've studied a lot of her, I've taken a lot of her classes, I have a lot of her webinars. And one of the things that has stood out to me over the 10 years of studying with her, one of the things that she says is, ask what else is possible. How much greater can this get for me? How much greater can life get for me? How much greater can my career get for me? Because that question mark at the end acts as a hook, and it latches on to anything that you can dream of, anything that you can aspire. And I would rather have a hook that latches onto something positive versus a period, and that's definitive. That's it. That's all you can do.
Wow. That huge takeaway from this whole interview is the power of, speaking life. Because what you just said spoke life to me, the power of a question mark and the power of a period. I've never, in my 7 years of doing this acting field, I never figured of me saying I'm an actor versus I am a creative to be two separate things. I'm an actor, and just the difference between the two, there's different lanes to how you can, I don't like to say you can make it, but you can fulfill what you want in this world now. That there's no one way. And as a creative, you can go those different ways just by saying, I am a creative. I am an artist at heart. That opens so many doors. That opens so many doors.
Right? Art takes many forms. Art is photography, painting, drawing, poetry, acting, dancing, anything. And I happen to have a background in dance. And I remember casting director George Pierre. One of my very first auditions for him, I was waiting for him to set up the camera. This was so long ago. Gosh, George is going to trip out when he I was waiting for him to set up the camera and have his laptop, and he's getting ready to start the audition. And he's looking down. He looks up at me, and I'm standing. He says, were you ever a dancer by chance? I said, yes, I was. And I'm thinking he's about to say, oh, that's great. Maybe I can see you as this role or whatever. I can tell. I said, really? How? He goes, the way you're standing, relax. I was like, oh, because I was kind of standing like this.
That's so uncomfortable.
And he's like, relax. And I love the fact, even now, I approach every audition like, Jen, relax. Because when you're relaxed, casting can relax. Yeah. If you're in a room with someone and there's a lot of tension, a lot of nervousness, you'll feel like there's a little angst in you. Like, energy is transferable. And when someone is anxious and nervous, I've been on the other side of a casting table where I've had to cast for projects before. And I've had people come in and they suck all the air out the room because they're like, And I'm like, ooh, girl, breathe. Like, you breathe, you're taking up all the air out of the room. And you're so tense that I'm tense. But when an actor comes in and you're just relaxed, like, hey, how y'all doing? And then they're like, oh, this is my mark. All right, cool. And they act as though they belong there. They know their place. They know who they are. And that draws you in. You're like, I want to know more about this person because this person already knows who they are. They're coming in as a professional. They're coming in knowing, who they are, what they're bringing to the table, that it's a blessing for you to even be in their presence. And that makes you want to be in their presence. That makes you want to know more about them. That makes you excited to see what they're about to do. And so I remember George saying, relax, relax. And I was like, okay, yeah. And so, but yeah, it's important to understand that as creatives, we can still create in many different forms. And as a dancer, having a dance background, that actually feeds into my acting, because there are certain roles that I go out for. There are dancers. My photo shoots, whenever I'm doing press tours and I have to do photo shoots for magazines and stuff like that, and the photographer, we have different photographers, of course, right. And the photographer is setting up the camera and they're just capturing movements, and I'm just moving, and I'm doing
right.
They're just clicking, clicking, click, 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 click. Their little shutter, click, 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 click. And I had a photographer ask me, Nikki Rumpf, she said, are you a dancer by chance, or do you have a dance background? I said, yeah. She's like, I can tell. She's like, your movements, your poses aren't poses. There are movements, and every frame, every image, every click that I take, it's a different movement. You're not just posing stiff, like right. You're
right.
And so when you think of yourself as a creator, as a creative, it's gonna spill out in every form, whether photography or acting or dancing or whatever. It's gonna ooze out of your pores. You can't hide it. So see yourself as a creative versus just an actor, because then you're thinking outside the box. When I go to an audition, or whenever I'm preparing for an audition, I look at the sides as a writer, because I write. So right. I'm looking at the sides and I'm like, okay, and I'm making choices, bold choices, not bold for the sake of being different, but bold as in like, this is brilliant. If I were a writer, I would write this in, and I would do little off the wall things that will make me stand out, but in a good way, because no one else is probably going to think like me.
Right.
Because I'm bringing my own story, but I'm also bringing my writer brain. So when you're a creative, you approach your auditions in a different way. You're approaching your auditions as a painter. You paint with your words. You are your movements when you are in an audition. You're not so stiff. Mm-hmm. You're leaning in, you're moving, but you have to stay within the frame, right?
Right.
You're moving because you're fluid as a dancer. So you as a creative, you're going to spill out throughout your career, wherever different avenue that takes you, you're creative. So it's going to be beautiful and colorful in everything that you do.
Yes. Honestly, I have nothing else to say, because not even the fact that you're here, you're speaking so much life and positivity, there's nothing left to be said. Oh. It's so enlightening. And that's why I create these type of platforms, because you do not know someone else's story until they tell you. And when they tell you, 95%, 100% of the time, every guest that I had an inspiring story that I know it will impact someone else. And I'm just going to say it here right now. I mean, the sky is the limit for you. I know you've already accomplished so much, and I know I already said this, but God is doing wonders in your life, and you know that for a fact. But just from a person who's watching and listening to you speak and how you present yourself and who you are, I know he's not done. And I just can't wait to see what he has in store for you. And I'm just so excited to just know that, you're just always willing to put yourself out there and to be, God's vessel. So thank you so much for, speaking with me today and joining me here.
Thank you so much for having me, and please have me back anytime. Hopefully, when we're getting ready to do the press tour for Covenant, I would love to be able to come back and tell you more about it. Even after it airs, I would love to come back and get since you are a believer, I would love to interview you and see how you feel about the project.
Oh man, sign me up. I would love to. I mean, I saw you on Greenleaf, and I remember first meeting you during Miss Angela's call, and I was just like, Mom, it's Tara. And she was just like, wait, what are you talking? Because Tara's my mom's name as well. So I was like, no, it's Tara from Greenleaf. And she's like, no, it's not. And we were listening to you talk about your story. And, it's just, again, it's awe-inspiring. That's why I wanted to bring you here, because other people the world deserves to hear your story, because it's unique and it's tailored to you.
Thank you. Thank you so
much. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've always been. Oh, no, don't cry, because if you cry, I cry. But at the same time, I'm just in debt and thankful and just very grateful to be graced with your presence.
You are an absolute delight. I spoke very highly about you to my mom. I was like, yeah, I have this interview later on today, and she's like, oh, with what publication? I'm like, no, it's not for a magazine or for press or anything. I love this young lady. I said, Mom, she is so incredibly magical. I said, she's gonna go on and do incredible things. I said, for her to be doing this at such a young age and to have such awareness of her power and her gift and her purpose, I said she is light years ahead of a lot of other men and women my age, because I want to say, and I can't speak this because this isn't my life, but if I were to look at you and someone say, what do you think is her secret? It's no secret at all. It's your relationship with God. Yeah. And he is the root, the anchor. And, he's the piece on the back of a ship.
Yes.
If the piece, and as small as the piece is on the back of a ship, if it moves one way, it turns the whole boat. If it moves the other way, it turns the other boat. So it's that guiding. You can tell I don't have maritime. I'm not a sailor, but in the back of the boat, it really guides you, and you can tell that God is that piece. He's that anchor, that foundation. That a lot of people, if they don't even realize, and that's why it's so important for me to speak so much about God.
Yeah,
is so that people understand. He's not just a judge sitting on the throne on the judgment seat. He's a loving father sitting on the throne, a holy God, but still loving, and he wants to be a part of your life. And if you make him a part of your life, not just a part of your life, if you make him the center of your life, the foundation of your life, you won't have to spend so much time trying to figure it out. And I love the fact that you got it so early. And so with that, there are no limits for you. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, I can't wait to see what she does. She's magical. I said, I cannot wait. I see the light in you. And I see God has given me a glimpse of what's in store. And it's powerful. It's not just powerful, it's impactful. You're going to make a huge impact in this world. And within this sphere of entertainment, he's going to use this platform he's going to allow, if you allow God, he's going to use your platform, whether it's, through YouTube, whether it's, I know it's going to go on to do bigger and greater beyond YouTube. But he's going to use your platform. He's going to use your voice. He's going to use your gifts, your talents, your intellect, everything that makes you you, everything that he's placed inside you to make you you. But because you are a vessel, a willing vessel to him, and you've opened yourself up to him, and you publicly praise him, announce him as your God, as your Lord and Savior, I'm telling you,
wow,
it's incredible what's in store for you. And I just, so when you thank me for being here, I see, and I mean this, I don't just say this just to be saying it. Anyone who knows me will tell you, Jen don't just say stuff just for the sake of saying it. If I don't believe it, if I don't feel it, I'm not going to say it, because I don't believe in lying. I feel like it's easy. It's just as easy to be quiet than it is to lie. If you don't believe something, if you don't feel something, just be quiet. There's no harm in being quiet. But if I feel something, I have to tell you. I feel compelled to tell you that no eye has seen and no ear has heard what God has in store for you because of your faithfulness. because of your willingness to allow him to use everything. You have been a faithful steward of everything that God has placed in you. And I see when the Bible references talents, the different
Yeah.
of course, the talents could be money. It could be, what the master trusted his servants with.
Mm.
You have been faithful over a few. I'll make you master or ruler over many.
Right.
The few talents, and I'm using this in a literal sense, the talent God has placed in you, the gifts, the calling, the talents, the purpose that God has placed in you. You've done something with it. You've been faithful with it, and you've honored him with it. And it's not like you are praising him secretly and privately, and out in the public you're one way. You're the same privately as you are publicly with your faith. And he sees that, and he's going to honor you with that, because you have been faithful. You have been faithful with the talents that he has placed in your possession. So
Wow.
I'm honored to be here. So thank you.
Oh my goodness. I receive it in Jesus' name, and the same goes to you. I can literally compliment you back and forth all night and not realize how much time I've spent, praising you.
Oh.
But I'm speechless. That's what I will say. I'm speechless. I truly am, in a positive way, and just a way of, I will keep going and keep doing this. And with your encouragement, again, thank you so much for joining me. For our viewers watching, thank you so much for joining this episode. I'm trying not to get emotional, but yeah, I know this is going to bless you guys. I thank you so much for watching, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being here. Stick around for a little bit. But to our viewers watching, more interviews will be coming soon. Stay tuned for those. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Bye. Thank you.